Brooke Bailey didn't go there to weep. She showed up to expose, and when she spoke those 8 terrifying words, "He locked me in that hotel room," and the entire industry stopped. Jim Jones, that Jim, the one flashing jewels on red carpets, dropping verses about loyalty. She claims he imprisoned her for hours, removed her phone, barred the door, and told her flatly, "You're not leaving until I say so." Wait, what sort of nasty power play that this wasn't some love and hip-hop narrative line, this was genuine. And Brooke, she looked shattered, nails broken, voice breaking. She said, "I begged him, I thought I wasn't going to make it out now." There's speculation of leaking hallway footage, security workers being paid off, and Jim's legal team trying to bury everything. But Brooke Bailey isn't staying silent longer. She's going for blood, and what's about to spill might sink Jim's entire business. So the question is, did Jim Jones actually keep Brooke Bailey captive, or is this the ultimate vengeance twist no one saw coming? Let's break it down, because what occurred behind that hotel door might damage careers and send someone to jail. When Brooke Bailey finally stepped in, that press room wasn't the glitz we're used to seeing. No eyelashes, no glam squad, no filters, just raw dread resting on her face, as if she'd seen the devil. And maybe she had since, according to her Jim Jones. Yes, that Jim Jones didn't just cross the line, he erased it. Rumors started early that morning. A hazy tape leaked online that looked like Brooke Bailey wrapped in a robe screaming in a corridor of some high-rise hotel. Her hair was matted, and her voice broke like glass, something about her phone pleading for assistance and standing off to the side. A man in a hoodie, face partly hidden, but the walk that chain looked a heck of a lot like Jim. At first, fans believed it was old or a movie set, but Brooke Bailey shut things down quick when she went live, eyes puffy from sobbing, and said it herself. "He locked me in there and told me I wasn't going anywhere. I thought I was going to die in that room." The internet lost its freaking mind within minutes. Twitter erupted. Brooke Bailey held captive by Jim Jones. Love and hip-hop just went criminal. Folks didn't sure if it was true or a PR ploy until Brooke Bailey dropped the bomb, claiming the event happened less than 72 hours ago, and she's got evidence now. Wait up, let's rewind. Brooke Bailey and Jim Jones had history, but not the sort anybody paid attention to. A few red carpet run-ins, some behind-the-scenes flirting during VH1 tapings, and sources are now claiming that the two had been hooking up on the low for over 8 months, with private flights, secret dinners. And then Brooke Bailey alleges that after a furious dispute in a Las Vegas hotel about text messages from another, there was a severe aftermath when she realized she wasn't the only one woman on Jim's phone. He flipped, she alleges. He got in her face, snatched her phone, shut the beautiful door, and told her straight up, "You're not going anywhere till I say so." Let that sink in. A grown Jim Jones, a popular person, is accused of detaining a lady against her will in a hotel room. He has yet to comment, with no tweets or interviews, but individuals close to him, including an assistant manager, barber clothes relatives, claim he's panicked. Jim Jones apparently phoned the hotel personnel and asked whether hallway cameras could be removed for privacy. When that didn't work, guess what occurred next? 2 security officers were reportedly bribed to misplace the footage. That's not me talking. It's what an unnamed source from inside the hotel told The Juice. And before you go claiming that's all hearsay, explain me why the security guy was dismissed 24 hours later. But let's not. Brooke Bailey alleges she was kept in that room for nearly 6 hours, with no phone, no food, and no idea how she was going to get out. She claims she tried to sprint for the door twice, once when he blocked it, and the second time we haven't received hospital reports yet, but Brooke Bailey exhibited bruises on her arms during the live. She said she acquired them when she tried to push past him and he gripped her too hard. From a breakup to a full-fledged crime scene. Many are wondering, why didn't she call the police? Why didn't she press charges that night? Brooke Bailey just claims she was terrified because Jim Jones threatened to ruin her. Said he had connections that could make her appear insane, saying no one would believe her. And here's the strange thing. She nearly believed him, which shook folks online, because Brooke Bailey, who is normally so cool and fire-toned, really looked defeated. Claimed she remained in the hotel toilet for hours, wondering if this was how her tale ended. And at one point she worried, if I scream too loud, will he snap? Brooke's sister subsequently tweeted narrative that she hadn't heard from her for an entire day and was going to report her missing. But just before she did, Brooke Bailey eventually fled. How the housekeeper, the true MVP of the story. Supposedly, the next morning, a hotel and staff came to clean the room, and Brooke Bailey raced past her barefoot down 3 flights of stairs into the lobby and asked the front desk to summon a ride. The same hotel employee has allegedly been transferred. Whatever. Meanwhile, followers are turning into investigators. One lady on TikTok said she followed the hallway carpet pattern and connected it to a premium Vegas hotel. Another user said he observed Jim's SUV parked outside the same site 2 days ago, and TMZ, they're swarming like vultures. There's also fresh rumor about another lady, a so-called backup girlfriend, who was supposedly messaging Jim Jones the same night wondering when Brooke Bailey was going. Supposedly received from Jim's cell. The message states, still dealing with the drama, she not gone yet, she wasn't a package. Jim Jones, that's a whole human being. Remember, Jim Jones still hasn't refuted anything, but his team is supposedly gearing up for war. According to one insider, Jim's attorneys are preparing a public statement that depicts Brooke Bailey as unstable and obsessive. This is being described as a desperate attempt to clout. Sound familiar? That's usually the go-to when a woman speaks up, right? But Brooke's got something more in her sleeve. She says she's got screenshots, video clips, and yes, she claims there's audio. That's right, she filmed part of their disagreement while he wasn't looking, her words precisely. If they attempt to make me appear insane, I'll expose everything. And now the issue becomes, will she? Because if that tape escapes and we hear even a second of Jim's voice sounding remotely scary, that's not just a PR crisis, that's possibly prison time, abduction, assault, witness intimidation. This is no longer just Brooke Bailey versus Jim Jones, but Brooke Bailey versus the entire damn business. And if you think it stops here, no, because as of tonight, someone else just entered the discussion. Someone who says they witnessed everything and are ready to share. According to Brooke Bailey, the quiet in the room wasn't just physical, it was psychological warfare. She said Jim Jones never laid a finger on her, but the mental grasp was impenetrable. He just stood there blocking the door like he was daring me to attempt anything. Brooke Bailey said. His manner transformed from smooth-talking musician to something out of a crime documentary, cold, methodical, and scarily calm. But what truly stunned hearts wasn't just what Brooke Bailey revealed, but what happened next. Right after her breakdown interview aired, an unknown hotel employee sneaked into the DMs of a famous gossip blogger, and what they revealed, unconfirmed, blurry but enough to make people pause. A single grainy snapshot, hotel surveillance footage timestamped, and guess who's standing outside Suite 923 at 2:47 a.m. Jim Jones' hoodie pulled low, checking both ways and then disappearing into the room. Brooke Bailey said she was locked in for hours. Brooke's voice had scarcely recovered. Chrissy Lumpkin, Jim's long-standing companion in reality TV, Ride or Die, has been dubbed crazy as a result of this disclosure, and social media is on fire, and the one person fans assumed would never be caught up in this type of problem. But here's where things turned ugly, since word on the street, Chrissy Lumpkin apparently found out the same night as the rest of us from the leaked tape. One of Chrissy's close pals, and we use that term lightly, apparently contacted her and said, "Girl, you better check what your man's doing at the Hilton before it hits TMZ." And when Chrissy Lumpkin seen the tape, reports claim she went absolutely silent for 48 hours. Meantime, Jim Jones, he wasn't posting no cryptic tweets, no it's cap Instagram tales, just silence. And you know what they say about silence, it shouts guilt louder than any confession. But let's not pretend this came out of nowhere. Jim's history with women, especially prominent women, has always had red flags. From beefs with castmates to shady backroom business gossip, the man's reputation hasn't been squeaky clean. There were always rumors, misunderstandings. But this is a physical confinement accusation in a closed hotel suite. That's not something you can simply write a notes app apology for and go on. And then came the voice note, slipped, garbled but terrifying. "I told her to calm down, she wouldn't say she was terrified, but I didn't touch her, I just needed to chat." They were the phrases that the person on the audio said. Was it Jim Jones? The voice was recognizable, but scratchy. Some claim it was altered, while others swear it was him, weary and irritated, attempting to explain something that was already spinning. The blogs went crazy, and fan pages began interpreting the background noise. Even slowed down the film and said you could hear a TV in the background playing an old Martin repeat. They matched the episode's time with the supposed night of the event. When it smells blood, it goes into full-fledged shark mode. Meanwhile, Brooke Bailey has gone me, with no Instagram stories, interviews, or podcast appearances. Fans are worried about where Brooke Bailey is, whether she is alright, and why she isn't responding after the leak. Some worried she'd been silenced, while others assumed her attorneys had finally stepped in and forced her to stop talking. But no one expected her reappearance 1 week later, this time without tears, but with full makeup jacket on, sitting across from a renowned YouTube journalist, cool, composed, and ready to blow the lid off everything. "I wasn't going to say more," she began, voice low, "but when the world started calling me a liar, I had to safeguard my name." Then came the bombshell. According to Brooke Bailey, that night in the hotel wasn't a chance meeting, she says. Jim had been grooming her for weeks through Demi's casual phone conversations, pretending to talk business. "He told me he respected my business, that he wanted to establish something real." She believed it was a brand agreement, a collaboration, an opportunity to make moves. But when she arrived at the hotel, for what she expected was a brief meeting in the lobby, Jim Jones allegedly informed her the room was more in private. He replied, "We can talk without the noise. You know how people are." What happened next, she believes, was 4 hours of intimidation, manipulation, and pressure. She did not accuse him of physical. Brooke's hands were trembling as he made an impassioned, dramatic, and indelible threat. "If you walk out that door, I promise you'll never get another call in this industry again." She detailed the moment she understood she was being surrounded, not with fists, but with power. And right then, viewers recognized this was greater than Jim Jones and Brooke Bailey. It was about how men in power worked behind closed doors. The type of manipulation that never makes news since it doesn't leave bruises. The interview racked up 2 million views in 24 hours. Sponsors started pulling back from Jim's side ventures, and a major podcast terminated forthcoming appearance. One sponsor even erased his image off their webpage overnight. But what occurred next, nobody anticipated coming. The actual Hilton hotel manager delivered a statement, not a press conference, not a tweet, a complete statement to the press. And it acknowledged that hotel security had attended to a noise complaint near Suite 923 the same night, that they had knocked, received no answer, and departed. That was all they'd say, but for the internet confirmation, something occurred, something wasn't right, and that's when public perception took a full 180. People started asking the real questions. If this was innocent, why didn't Jim Jones speak sooner? Why no comment from Chrissy Lumpkin? Why is everyone from Jim's team suddenly going silent? As public pressure built, Jim's attorneys eventually made a move, with their first step being a stop and desist letter to Brooke's interview presenter requesting they delete the film, else facing legal action. That backfired hard, because as soon as that threat fell, every major site reprinted the interview footage, memes, recaps, response videos, and that's precisely where we take up in part 3, as lawsuits. Chrissy Lumpkin purportedly packs her things, and Brooke Bailey prepared to take the case to court, because if what she's alleging is true, Jim Jones would be facing more than just canceled performances. He might be facing criminal charges. And while the internet was booming with rumors, the hotel security team eventually broke. An anonymous employee voice, disguised in identity, masked, called a shady Instagram blog and said the silent portion out loud. "There is film, we were informed, not to log it video." "You mean the same surveillance film that might verify whether Brooke Bailey was indeed confined in that room for hours?" The same footage, Jim's attorneys reportedly asked, be erased. According to sources, hotel management offered a 5-figure sum to clean up the mess. But not everyone was ready to remain silent. One front desk clerk claimed they spotted Brooke Bailey shivering and barefoot at 4:00 a.m. Said she looked like she'd just gone through hell. So let's be clear. This is no longer just celebrity drama. This is a full-blown potential criminal probe in the process. And if what Brooke Bailey is alleging is even half true, Jim may be facing accusations that make headlines around the world. But it gets worse, because while Brooke Bailey was still coping with the emotional impact of that night, another lady come forward. No name, no face, just a DM sent by a message on the burner account said, "Bruce not the only one, he did it to me too. Same hotel, same pattern, different city." Within hours, hashtag surviving Jim Jones was trending, and influencers, TikTok sleuths, and YouTube T channels were deep delving into Jim's prior conduct like it was a true crime documentary. And what they uncovered was more receipts than anybody was ready for. A 2018 podcast episode, Jim Jones casually joked about keeping a female in his room until she cooled out. A throwaway bar in one of his mixed apps that went, "If she, when I hit lock on the door, she mine tonight." People laughed then. They're not laughing now. And as if this turmoil wasn't enough, guess who stepped up out of nowhere? Mama Jones, Jim's own mother, appeared on Instagram Live in full defensive mode. "Y'all, with her hair tied tight and pointing fingers at the television, screaming, "These females always trying to trap my son." Brooke Bailey understood what it was. She'd been following him for years now. She wanted to weep, but instead of comforting Jim Jones, her outburst made things 10 even worse. She dubbed Brooke Bailey a bitter groupie, and stated, "If you lock her in a room, maybe she finally sits still." The internet gasped. Sponsors ghosted. Jim's newest music project silently delayed, and now industry sources say the large brand partnerships have already been pulled. One shoe collab, and one liquor campaign because they don't want their mark next to his name. But here's where the tale takes a crazy turn nobody saw coming, because in the thick of all this drama, Brooke Bailey filed a restraining order, and the papers was leaked. Brooke claimed Jim Jones not only locked her in but also threatened her when she tried to escape. She claims he stated euphones were shaken, but Jim's team fought back strong. They filed a suit contesting everything, saying Brooke, a publicity-seeking, reality TV relic who was leveraging previous flings to stay relevant, said she created the tale for clout and had every option to leave. But if that's true, why did Brooke provide screenshots of text messages in her legal petition? One said, "I'm sorry. I lost my temper, but I still got love for you." Another, "Don't go public, you know how nasty it can get ugly, it's already volcanic." Speaking of volcanic, let's talk about that leaked voicemail that recently leaked last night, an alleged tape of Jim ranting in the background stating, "You not going nowhere, you understand me, you ain't walking out that door." His voice her weeping, door slamming. It's grainy, it's unverified, but if it's true, it's devastating. And now there's pressure on the district attorney's office to initiate an inquiry. Activists are demanding for justice, including a few former castmates. Love and Hip Hop has thrown subtle shade. One unnamed VH1 producer even intimated that we all knew something was awry with them for years. Another source alleges Jim sought to prohibit Brooke from returning for future seasons of performance, supposedly out of fear she'd talk. And that takes us to this point where we're all wondering the same burning question. Is Brooke telling the truth? Did Jim truly keep her against her will? Or is this a twisted case of love gone incorrect? Reality TV, retribution, and celebrity egos spinning out of control. All we do know is that Brooke Bailey has gone quiet. She erased Instagram, turned off comments, and went black. However, her silence says volumes. And Jim Jones is doing what all celebs are in: damage management mode. Sharing Jim photos like nothing happened and throwing up cryptic words like, "They want to see me fall, but I'm still standing." Cute, but if these claims hold up, he won't be standing for long, because behind all the filters, celebrity, and shiny automobiles, the truth always finds a way to kick the door down. And now it's your chance to speak. You've heard the claims, seen the fallout, feel the strain behind every leaked message, every deleted post memo. This isn't just about Brooke and Jim Jones anymore. This is about the industry-wide silence that shields men in power and buries the voices of women who dare to speak up. So ask yourself, if Brooke Bailey, a woman with a platform, had to beg to be believed, what does it say about the ones who suffer in silence? Was this just another toxic breakup gone viral? Or is this the start of a reckoning within hip-hop's inner circle? We want to hear what you think. Share your opinions in the comments. Do you trust Brooke's account, or is Jim Jones being dragged for something he didn't commit? And don't forget, if you enjoyed this deep, hit the subscribe button, smash the like icon, and ring the notification bell, so you never miss another explosion. Breakdown. We're dissecting the stories they don't want you to hear. Everything weak because others are giving you rumor. We are providing you the truth with fangs. This is more than simply a channel movement, and we're only getting started. So keep focused, because if you thought this was insane, what's next will leave you dumbfounded. Till then, remain, stay safe, knowledgeable, and ready, because in this game, the truth inevitably leaks. We will see you in the next one.